Vernon man here. Let's do logic on this, the truth about the germ theory controversy by somebody called Dr. Vernon Coleman. Who's that, you ask? I didn't know who it was either. He just kind of showed up on my thing, and I'm like, who's this guy? So I had to Google him. And Google's like, yeah, well, you know, you know, he's a conspiracy guy, and yeah, he's a writer, novelist, vivisectionist, anti-vaccination activist, an AIDS denialist who writes on topics related to human health, politics, and animal welfare. He was a general practitioner and newspaper columnist. So he went off the deep end into La La Land. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's interesting. All right. But let's see what he's got to say for himself and do some logic on it. Most of the rather hysterical, sometimes simple minded, and often abusive converts who promote the idea there are no germs, some claim there are no viruses, but this is merely a variation on unstable pseudoscientific theme, have no medical training or practical experience, and don't realize they are being used by the conspirators pushing us towards the Great Reset. Let's just slow down here. Okay. So, the idea that there are no germs is, I would dare say, kind of a silly claim. Germ theory. Here's germ theory. I mean, just it's a currently accepted scientific theory for many diseases. There's a lot about it. There's definition of it, development facts. Certain diseases are caused by the invasion of the body by microorganisms, etc. Okay, so yeah, there's things about it. There's things that go into it and explain it, and how we tested it, how we know about it, etc., etc. So I think it's safe to say that there's something to learn about this, and denying this, well, okay, what proof do you have? What is it that you think, what is it that you think disproves it, or what do you think it explains how people get sick, if not this idea? Did Louis Pasteur prove it already? Yeah, well, plenty of people have already proven germs to be a thing, but, nonetheless, so I would say, instead of going off in this direction, forget about whether they're abusive or simple-minded or hysterical. That's irrelevant to the conversation. That's just ad hom attacks. Doesn't matter. And yes, they probably don't have medical training or practical experience. That's probably true, but it doesn't matter for the argument. Either the argument is valid or it's invalid. That's it. Now, then we get into problems here. I don't know why you capitalize conspirators, because now you've made a positive claim that there are conspirators that are pushing us towards whatever the Great Reset is. Now, you're going to try to prove that, but to actually prove that, you would need empirical evidence, data of some sort. You'd need something, which I'm going to suspect you don't have. So, while we could agree that denying germs is kind of silly and ridiculous and should be fought against, thinking that those that are doing this are being used by somebody to do something else is not a warranted conclusion. And we'll see how. People who promote the idea that there are no germs still have channels on YouTube. That's correct. Lots of people have channels on YouTube about a lot of topics. That doesn't mean anything. Who is or is not allowed on YouTube isn't really anything that tells us anything about anything at all. It, so you shouldn't use that as a basis to try to derive truth about any given claim. The conspirators don't want them removed. How do you know what the conspirators want or don't want? How do you know that there's conspirators? What evidence do you have about that? Because promoting the idea that germs don't exist is part of the conspiracy. Well, I don't know that there is a conspiracy. I do think that it's likely that a few people out there are kind of dumb and think that there are no germs, and they think so for various different reasons. Maybe they're not dumb. Maybe they thought about it and they said, well, I can't, we can't see the things. And so, isn't that a problem? And, they didn't bother researching too much on it. And so they have their doubts, and perhaps those doubts are reasonable or unreasonable. It depends upon the person, as always. Depends upon the claim that is being made, as always. So refute specific claims. For over half a century now, I've earned my living doing. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Your appeals to your personal expertise are irrelevant. Yes, it's good that you've done that, but you don't need to tell us that you've done that. We can find out that you've done that, and your argument should stand or fail on its own merits. Having worked as a hospital doctor, again, having edited medical journals, all this is an appeal to authority. What matters is your argument. Okay. But like most truth tellers, my YouTube channel was removed in its entirety. Well, you would need evidence that truth tellers are getting their channels removed, and you would then need to show that you are telling the truth. Obviously, I'm here. I'm talking about this. Maybe I'll be removed. Hopefully not. But the logic here is missing. Your conclusions are not valid. YouTube even told me I wasn't allowed to look at other people's videos. That's not true. YouTube doesn't do that. YouTube doesn't tell you what you can and can't do. If you don't have an account, you can simply browse YouTube without an account. If your account's locked, you can still look at videos. So this is simply not true. And YouTube went back years to remove TV programs and appearances I'd made decades ago. That may or may not be true. I don't know. If they did, that's kind of silly. I don't know why they do that. If those things are true, regardless of what you say or do now, if what you put out there in the past was true, that should stay around. I would also advocate for freedom of expression and free thought. And that means that even if what you put out there was completely ludicrous and false, that it should stay up. That's what I would say. I don't think that things should be removed simply because they are untrue. I think that those things should be around. Now, if YouTube wants to put a little label saying, we don't think that this is true, they're free to do that. Your reputation was hurt by that. Okay. Yeah. So he was the first doctor to point out doctors were one of the top 3 causes of death and illness. Wouldn't you be able to demonstrably prove that if that was true? And what do you mean by that? Are they killing people? Like, are they committing murder? What do you mean by that? Then you were confused why anyone should believe obvious nonsense. There are no germs. Well, people are dumb. That's people are misinformed. They don't trust science, or they don't understand science. And although you accept this one true thing about science, you seem to have weird ideas about why people might not agree with that true idea. And those weird ideas spring forth from an uninformed, illogical assertion about a conspiracy that doesn't exist. Until I realized the whole new germ operation was a military psyop. Oh, you just realized that, did you? I didn't know that that's how we derive at truth. We can just, oh yeah, of course, that's why. Oh, it's all a military psyop. Why? Why would the military bother? And if the military really wanted to do that, wouldn't they advertise on television and radio and in newspapers? Why would they, and on all the social media platforms, why would they confine their efforts to relatively few channels on YouTube? I don't know how many subscribers those channels have or how many of those channels there are out there, but why would they do such a small effort when they could do a full blown operation? If the military wanted to promote propaganda, it certainly could, and do so better than simply having people on YouTube, especially YouTube who come off as wacky and unhinged, people that you would associate with flat earthers and other science deniers. Why wouldn't the military do a far better job at that? That's really silly. I have yet to meet one qualified medical doctor that believes that germs don't exist. Well, I'm sure that's true. But there is, although germs do probably exist, I don't have any reason to doubt that there's something causing diseases and that we call that germs. And, how all that works is beyond my expertise. But nonetheless, just because you have never encountered a doctor that does not believe X is true, that does not mean that X is actually true. So, or false or anything. So, an appeal to people that you have encountered is not logical. It's not a way to get to a logical conclusion. So, just because you've never met anyone that does not disagree with this idea doesn't mean that we're wrong. That it's something else that's doing it. I don't know what that would be or how that would work. I have no idea. But what we must do is use good logic. So that there are no medical doctors that are part of denial of germs is a good thing. There might be somebody that is a doctor who does deny germs that you have not yet encountered, however. And then the truth of the matter is a separate question. Are these things a thing or not? And whether or not, yes, the experts agreeing that they are a thing certainly could give weight to it and give us certainly a pause to consider, but should not be the full sum of how you decide that something is true or not true. Otherwise, you're simply appealing to authority. In this case, you're also appealing to personal experiences. I don't understand how anyone who understands human body and healthcare could possibly believe such nonsense. Okay, well, appeal to personal credibility. Anyways. Are there really educated people arrogant enough to think they're more intelligent to these following people? Yeah, probably. There's people that think that they're smart, and they might be smart people that think that they're smart. It tends to be that people that are smart tend to actually don't think that they're smart. They have imposter syndrome a lot of the time. Well, I'd have to support that with some sort of data or study, so take it with a grain of salt. And remember, those pushing the idea that no germs are allowed to remain on YouTube. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Many of those who claim there are no germs have little to no understanding of the human body. Probably true. No practical clinical experience. Most likely true. They are, in short, ultra substance of the worst and most dangerous kind. Well, they're producing false information. That's all you need to say. And then you need to show that the overwhelming data supports germ theory. That's relatively easy to do. You've been taken off of YouTube for expressing ideas that are ludicrous of their own. I don't think you should have been taken off YouTube for that. I disagree with that. I don't agree with you on your illogical ideas. but I support your right to present them. Your statements here indicate that you do not understand logic, or if you did understand logic at one time, you're certainly not applying logic to the way that you're thinking about what's going on. The key, of course, is just that noisy group of people claim there are no germs, not a few of whom also turn out to believe the Earth is flat. That'd be a good, interesting Venn diagram to find, and there could be data on that, but it's simply not relevant. Often allowed to roam freely on YouTube and social media. Yeah, I mean, they should be able to, so should everybody, but that's a separate matter. Because the conspirators regard them as a valuable asset. Really? What conspirators? What evidence do you have of these conspirators rather than a threat? Well, is it a good thing to not allow people to say things? And some there people make this argument in regards to speech. There are these, they're cropping up more often now than before, of these checking websites, and you can pay for a service that tells you if any given website is more left leaning or right leaning, and what the percentages are, and what citations they have, and how well documented the things they say are, and all this. And the problem with those sites is, well, who checks those fact checkers? And people are notoriously lazy. So if you sign up for a service that fact checks things for you, well, before you know it, you're going to be relying on that to decide whether or not something is a fact, because you're lazy. It's just human nature. You're like, oh yeah, this website says that these people are nonsense, so those people are nonsense. I'm not going to look into it further. They've saved the time and trouble for me. They did that work. I trust them. Well, but how do you know to trust them? Who's checking on them? So who fact checks the fact checkers? And ultimately, it's a difficult thing. You don't have the time and energy to fact check everything. I understand that. And so the best thing you can do, the only thing that you can do, be generally skeptical about the things and see if you can find anything on it to support it at all. That's all. But the censorship of any speech, I think, is a bad thing, and that includes speech that is false. So I'm against that. So yeah, I'm with the idea of let's have free speech, but your illogic makes it very hard for me to side with you about the one thing that we may agree upon. And some of them are downright vicious. Well, so what? Individuals denying the existence of germs, probably controlled by the conspirators and intelligence agencies. Why would they do that? Why? What do they have to gain? What does the intelligence agency has to gain from promoting that there are no germs? Let alone the conspiracy. What do they have to gain from doing that? And again, just me, but if they were going to do it, why stop at YouTube? Why not have it in books, newspapers, radio, television, movies, etc.? Wouldn't it be everywhere you look? Wouldn't it be all over the place? Why limit yourself? If you're going to spread propaganda, do a good job doing it. Have lied about me, attacked me, and threatened me. Well, that might be true. People may have lied about you, attacked you, and or threatened you, but that doesn't mean that it's part of some conspiracy. I get attacked more by conspirators and globalists than any other doctor on earth. I don't know how in the world you would even go about assessing that sort of claim. You shouldn't make that sort of claim. It's been going on for decades. Well, okay, I don't know. The folk who don't believe in the existence of germs, seem to decide to put the boot in too. Okay, so you're being attacked, or you feel like you're being attacked. Okay, what's your argument? You need to focus on your argument rather than this sort of thing. Okay. Every time I make a video, well, how do you make it? I thought that your video was removed, so okay. The comment sections contain gibberish from idiots who have no medical knowledge or expertise whatsoever. Welcome to the world of YouTube, baby. That's how it is. That's how it be. There, you will be look at a random comment section, and you will find all sorts of insanity going on. But they're convinced they're right and that there's no germs or infectious diseases. Well, those people are very wrong, and okay. Actually, I sometimes suspect that the vocal critics are probably just a relatively small number of people who pretend not to believe there are any germs. They are members of the CIA, use 100 false names, and spend their days putting rude messages on anything sensible which they think could threaten the Great Reset. What the hell is the Great Reset? What are you talking about? Where are you coming up with this idea? Why would the CIA do this? Why would they waste time and energy posting when they use bots instead? And why would they limit themselves to the comment section on YouTube of all things? And then why not just turn off your comment section? I have had two quite seriously intended death threats from people claiming there are no germs. Fanatics are quite unable to produce evidence for their claims. Well, death threats should be taken seriously and brought to the proper authorities, who hopefully will do something about them. And if they don't, then then you get a lawyer and you then complain again, and then when the authorities don't do things, then maybe you could sue the authorities for not investigating or whatever or something. You could do something about it. Don't just complain about it online. There's more you can do. But anyways, some of those arguing there are no germs are still. Wait, why are you repeating yourself? You already said this. And remember, they're still allowed on YouTube. Yeah, we know that. You've said this. Argument ad repetitum isn't, come on. You could do better than an argument. What's it called? Argument ad repeat. What the hell is it called? Argument ad nauseum or argument ad infinitum. So that translates from Latin as to sickness. Ad nauseum, argue till everyone grows sick of it. So it's an argument of repetition, and people just don't like it when you repeat things over and over again. So the argument from repetition is called an argument ad nauseum or an argument ad infinitum. An argument ad nauseum, of course, would translate from Latin as to sickness. And so arguing a point ad nauseum is to argue until everyone grows sick of it. So as you can understand from this, an argument ad repetition. Okay, enough of that. Anyway, sorry. As a general rule, any writer or doctor who still has any open access to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or something is surely not considered a threat to the Great Reset. But which you prove. What the hell is the Great Reset? The pandemic represents a rare but narrow window of opportunity to flex, reimagine, and reset our world. What is this? The Great Reset Initiative is an economic recovery plan drawn up by the World Economic Forum in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The project was launched in a video featuring the Prince Charles is released to mark its launch. Okay, so there is a thing called the Great Reset. Probably not a good idea to name it that. Does sound a little bit kooky and weird to me. Whatever. Anyways, similar to anyone with the Wikipedia page, which doesn't make them look like a combination of Genghis Khan and Jack the Ripper, is clearly being supported by the conspirators. What? How does that follow? Einstein. He's being supported by the conspirators. By long-established Wikipedia today, was totally torn apart, rewritten, and stuff with nonsense after it made a truthful video about COVID-19 in March 2000. And 20. Well, I don't know if you made a truthful video or not. I don't know what your video claimed. I have no way to access that if it's gone. Why don't you put it somewhere else and then have a link to that video or just summarize the arguments that you made? But you got taken down for probably promoting something about C19 that is fringe, that that might not be true. Now, I don't, like I said, I don't like that YouTube does that, but they're free to do whatever they believe. It's not cool, but what are you gonna do about? I don't know. I can't do anything about it. But yeah, that doesn't mean that there's a conspiracy. That might mean that you're simply wrong. That might mean that. The notion that germs don't exist is, in my view, the same category as the idea that the Earth is flat. Okay, yeah. The myth that global warming is real. Wait, what? Global warming is real. And the nonsense that vaccines are safe and good. Wait a minute. Vaccines are generally safe and good. Now, if you're talking about the C19 vaccine, there might be some questions, legitimate questions to ask about those, because they were developed rather quickly. So I don't know how safe those were. I got the first few. I got the first one. I haven't gotten any boosters or anything. So I'm way behind and out of date. So if something comes along, I might be screwed. That's probably not a good place to be. I don't know, but it's like whatever. I'm kind of, I'm like, I did the thing. Whatever at this point. It's just, But everybody's got to make their own decision on that. But whether something is or isn't safe, that should be something that could be studied and then proven. Like you do some chemical analysis, show the effects on animals and humans. I don't know. There should be something that you could do to prove it. Don't just assert that it's a thing. Show that it's a thing. And if you get taken down for showing it's a thing, well, then that is a problem. But if you're going to then go off the wall and say that no vaccines are safe and good, that's just ridiculous. I had plenty of vaccines when I was a kid. And, of course, plenty when I went into the military. And, but that, of course, is an appeal to the minority of one. But a lot of people have had those same vaccines. And, well, have they suffered at all because of that? There should be some evidence to support that. But there isn't. So making claims that these things are bad needs support for it. And it would need overwhelming support to show that it's true. And being taken down because you're promoting wild ideas is the very thing that you seem to want to happen to other people. So it happened to you because you wrong. I believe the bizarre theory that there are no germs was designed to split the resistance movement and to make people look stupid for supporting the idea. What? Huh? How does that follow? Has been very effective at doing exactly that. According to what? Based on what? How do you determine that? What split? How are you keeping track of? Oh well. I fear that the essentially doomed campaign to convince the world that there are no germs and no infectious diseases has torn the truth movement in half and destroyed whatever chance we had at defeating the dark forces of the conspirators. Lightning bolts, thunder. Oh my God! Dude, there's no conspiracy. Calm the fuck down. All right? All right. I firmly believe, well, that's your problem there. You have a belief. You don't have evidence. You don't have facts. You shouldn't just believe stuff. And it doesn't matter how firmly you believe something. You need to be able to show that it's true. The CIA, oh, them again, has been responsible for promoting the idea that germs don't exist. Let's see. Well, there's an easy way to find that out. Let's see. CIA, germs don't exist. Let's see. Let's see. Fox News said that. Let's see, or somebody on Fox News said that. Pete Hensberg, whoever that is, said. Let's see. Let's see. The CIA has done weird stuff. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I don't see anything. I would think that it'd be on on the CIA's website itself if they were really promoting it. And it doesn't appear to be on the CIA website. But they don't want you to know that they're promoting it, I guess. I don't know why they're doing such a crappy job, because I had never heard that people promote the idea that the germs don't exist before reading any of this. So the CIA is clearly not doing a very good job of it. Come on, CIA. Do a better job at spreading that controversy. But wouldn't the CIA just blow your website up if it was true? I mean, if they have all this... Yeah, it's just so dumb. The CIA knows darn well, how do you know what they know? That the public will never take anyone seriously if they argue there are no germs. Okay. So if they know that nobody will take them seriously, then why would they promote this idea? Most people are only too aware of the way that colds, flus, measles, chickenpox spread through families, schools, and coworkers. Okay. Since I've been banned, abused, and lied about more than any other doctor in the resistance movement, and have now been attacked drug companies and the medical establishment for well over a century, I feel entitled to make a small contribution to what could have been a debate, but simply as another excuse for fist waving. Oh, you've had a hard time of it. I don't know. Next time, use logic. That's all I can say. Is I don't believe that you're right about why you were banned or what's going on. I do agree that there are germs, but everything else that you're saying, I don't agree with. You need to do logic here, baby. I am afraid that my comments will upset people. Whatever. Who have been tricked into believing there are no germs. I don't. I hope that nobody has been tricked that there are no germs, you know. But the conspirators have destroyed my career, or maybe you destroyed your own career by saying that vaccines don't work and are nonsense, and maybe you've destroyed your own career by saying that climate change isn't real. Maybe those things are what destroyed your career and not this other thing. Just saying that your career being destroyed has no association causation with the facts of the matter at hand. I have told the truth about COVID. I don't know if you have or haven't. Drug companies, vaccines. I mean, I know you're saying that you have. What again? You should link to where you said that, written an article, citations, data, videos. What do you got to? What do you got there? I see no reason to suppress the truth about germs in order to avoid upsetting a few people who don't believe germs exist. Yeah, well, I don't care about feelings either. That's why I tell people that there's no God, or at least that their argument for God sucks. Depends on the claim being made. But anyways, to put my views in perspective, well, that is something that you should have done before you wrote this article. I should point out that in addition to researching and writing about drug pimping, whatever the hell that word is, erotogenesis, the fuck is that? Harm brought forth by a healer. Oh, okay. And drug side effects. Well, I mean, yeah, there's drug side effects. I've been writing about the power of the human body to defend itself well over 50 years. You mean the fact that we have an immune system? Yeah, we kind of know that. I don't know why you would need to write about it for that long. But what you're saying is that, we don't need vaccines. We're just really stupid to think that. So don't do that. Let's see. You wrote all these stuff. I don't care. So here's indisputable facts. Well, I'll be the judge of that. Those who don't believe in germ theory seem uncertain as parameters of their argument. That probably is true. You also don't seem to be certain about you don't seem to have an argument But rather than say, well, you could point out what logical fallacies their argument has and how and what support there is for germs. You know, some talk about germs, some specify viruses, some say there's no infectious disease, and some say the human body has no immune system. You could have linked to some videos that do that since they're still around. You could give some citations of when this has happened. You didn't, but whatever. The less well-educated, well, who seem prolific in their writings, usually prefer to remain anonymous and display a test, blah, blah, blah. They really do need to understand that not all germs are viruses. There's also bacteria, and the commonly expressed theory seems to be there are no germs. Let's stick with that for the moment. Okay, so you could have summarized this as people say that there are no germs. That would be an indisputable fact. That would be simple. Like most people have known about germ theories since nearly everyone in my primary school class caught chickenpox at the same time. Well, that's not me. That's not how I knew about germ theory. We didn't have to catch chickenpox to know about germ theory. We were told about it, I guess, at some point. I don't remember being told about it or learning about it anymore, but I guess I learned it somewhere at some point. And catching something that doesn't tell me anything. Oh, okay, whatever. So you should say that instead of saying this, you could just say that you've learned germ theory and why we know it's true and how we know it's true. You could say that instead of this nonsense. Those who claim there's no infectious diseases should take a little more look at the science of yeah, that. Yeah, sure. They probably should. That the branch of medicine which deals with the index and distribution possible controls of disease. Epidemiology. There we go. Epidemiology. All right. As a starting point, I recommend the excellent work of Dr. Pickles. Dr. Pickles! Yay! Who practiced in Yorkshire, England. You could have clicked. Give me a link to click on. Oh, well. Okay, so, again, you could have reduced this claim to this doesn't need to be a claim. You should say that this, rather than saying here's an indisputable claim or whatever, just say people should learn about stuff. And okay. The people that want to dismiss it must explain away all this other stuff. Anyone that wants to dismiss it just needs to provide the evidence. That's all. They're repeat with opinions, assertions, misrepresentations, etc. Well, that's what you seem to be doing here with your article, and it seems that might be true for your ideas about anti-vaccination and things like that. Those are not supported by the science. So vaccines are efficient and do what they're supposed to do, and the science supports that, but you're against that. Why? So apparently it's been adopted by fifth columnists and controlled opposition. They're bullies and they appear online. Their plan is simple. How do you know they have a plan? To make truth tellers look stupid to the rest of the world and claiming germs and infections don't exist. I think actually they don't have a plan. I think that people who deny germs and the earth being round and things like, and people that deny that vaccines work all have the same sort of problem with logic and reasoning that you do. You share in those faults. You can identify certain truths about reality, but then your cherished beliefs negate your ability to identify other truths. I wonder how many of those people who claim there's no germs would be willing to have a surgical operation without the surgeon washing their hands or wearing gloves. I don't know why that would be relevant. And if the percentage was high, that wouldn't tell you anything either. But yes, we know that that's a bad idea. I strongly urge those who don't believe to study, all this stuff. That's great. Okay, good. Um, when I first questioned the COVID threat on my website, um, and argued that it was no more than the annual flu rebranded, I was immediately attacked by conspirators handmaidens. Or perhaps you were told that what you were saying was utter nonsense and you didn't know what you were talking about, and they're not a conspiracy or part of anything at all. Maybe that's what happened. However, I've proved time and again, using government statistics that blah, blah, blah. I don't know that you have. I doubt it very much. Um, Even the WHO admitted that when COVID 19 appeared, the traditional flu disappeared. Really? They did? When did they do that? Citation. Can you link me to a citation here? No? Okay. Finally, there's a question for all of these. You don't believe the existence of terms. If you ever need an operation, would you be happy to? Blah, blah, blah. Very bad reasoning, very bad question to ask people at the end. That's not logical. So, my conclusions about this guy is that he has used bad logic to come to draw conclusions about why he got banned from YouTube. His conclusions are erroneous based upon beliefs that he has personally generated to explain the narrative of what is going on, perhaps so that he does not have to challenge beliefs that he holds about vaccines and things of this nature. You probably got banned because you said that vaccines don't work and or that climate change isn't real. And again, I don't agree with you being banned. I think that that's wrong. I think that that shouldn't happen. I'm all for freedom of speech and ideas, and I'd rather you be out there so that somebody can come along and blow you out of the water and tell you how wrong you are. And then they'll make a video that I'll watch and learn a whole lot about reality from. Because that's entertaining to me. I like that. So, but your conclusions are just not warranted. So, this is an example that we should take to ourselves. Look at your own ideas, challenge your own beliefs, question what you hold most dear. Be willing to be wrong about anything and everything that you believe to be true. Do the difficult research as much as you can about the topic that you're about to talk about so that when you talk about it, at least you know something. If you want to say that something isn't true, that's been a well established truth for a long time, you're going to need ample evidence to support your ideas. Claiming there's a conspiracy does you no good. You would have to demonstrate that to be true, and you haven't done that. The CIA, I think, would be much, much better at distributing propaganda if that was their intent. You don't have a valid and sound argument. You don't have empirical evidence. You don't have any tests. And so, for those reasons, we have to be skeptical of your erroneous conclusions. But yes, germs exist, or at least germ theory is a thing. So, yeah, that's true. But you're wrong about all the other things. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay skeptical. And then after next time, keep being skeptical. And just do that. It's a good idea, probably.